Hi, Kristen.
Hello. How's it going?
Hi. Good. I am so sorry, but I'm glad this worked out. So we've discovered with Zoom, when you go across borders, so we have like an admin account that facilitators will share for Eat, Breathe, Thrive to do events like these. And it's also the same account that our Yoga for Eating Disorders is run off of, and a couple other different meetings. Um, and we're all over the world. So Mel's in Canada, I'm in the US, Chelsea's in the UK, and then we have another facilitator that just went into Mexico. And anyway, when we go across borders, it requires you to verify the account.
Yep.
And I just took it for granted because I had just been on the account last week. So I didn't think it was going to ask me for that. So I didn't even think to log in any earlier than 11. And then, of course, it asked me to verify the code, and I don't have access to the email.
No, we have the
So
same
then,
thing with support group leaders, so I get it.
yeah. So anyhow, but Mel was checking her messages, so thank goodness she can do the email, like send me the verification code.
Just of time.
Yeah,
Perfect.
right. And we had thought, and when we had talked about this after the last time, I was given the go ahead. Well, go ahead and just use your personal account and then just email everyone if necessary the different Zoom login from your own account. But this is much better and less confusing. So
Definitely.
thank you for joining me this morning. I'm really grateful to have the chance to work with you.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, and I love the topic.
Yeah. It's and I think especially for our community, it's one of those things where I think in my experience, it's that kind of that same part of the brain that likes to control things. I think it's this likes to keep us busy.
Yes.
Right.
And
To the point of distraction.
We live in such a hustle culture, right? It's so glorified, like how busy you are. Everyone has to have the side hustle on top of the main thing. And yeah, there's just a lot. Sorry, moving Pooh Bear.
Baby stuff. I love it.
Yes,
And the boppy.
She's 2.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love it. And I saw your puppy in the background.
Yeah, they're going to be hanging out. This is T-Rex.
Oh, hi, She-Rex.
My cat likes to jump in on these as well. So Asimov will be making an appearance, I'm sure.
Oh, I love it. Love it. So the way that this worked last time for us, and I know you've done this a few times with Chelsea, was that we'll do quick introductions.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if you want to lead those or I'm happy to lead those too. And then we'll just kind of get right into the topic. The hour generally goes fast. So I have like 25 minutes for discussion, 25 minutes for movement, and then a 5-minute wrap up with clearly flexibility if the community needs more or less of something.
Perfect. Do you have a check-in question planned already?
I had just had some of those discussion questions beyond I thought I'd just go right into slowing down unless you have a suggestion for something that you might want to break the ice with. I mean, we could always do, where are you coming from?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of something related to slowing down. Because the ones I've done, we've asked people to do the check-in in the chat. But if it's a very small group, then we might even just be able to give the option to do it live if people want to. Let's see.
I have like, including you, I have 18.
Okay. I imagine a lot of them will attend live. That tends to be how things go. So if it's more than like, I don't know, 7 or 8, we'll just keep it in the chat. But otherwise, we could think about asking people to unmute and speak. But otherwise, what if we do, let's see, related to slowing down, please share a time when, I don't know, these could get long. I don't know, a time when you were like fully in the moment, or when are you most mindful?
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. I like that one. I like when are you most mindful, because that at least gets them starting to think about, I would assume generally those are the moments when they're like still, or at least not in a rush.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good one.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I like
Thank
it.
you.
Um,
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know I do see that we have a couple of facilitators that are signed on, and normally they tend to come in the recording. And I do want to just share a little bit about how we will record it. And I think that our system is set up that we are spotlighted. So
yeah, I was just gonna check. I do think I think you need to set that up by making us the spotlights, and then
right,
the participants' views won't be shown during the recording.
right. And I think I'm going to make you a co-host,
Okay.
which just in case. So I'm going to do that.
It's reasonable.
I actually should probably unpause. Awesome. Thank you. So hi, everybody. I'm Deneen Farrell, and I'm coming to you on behalf of Eat, Breathe, Thrive. I'm really thrilled to be able to share this session with you. This month in particular, we're talking about slowing down. This is a transition time for a lot of us, not just in the seasons, but a lot of us are getting back to school, back to work. The days are getting shorter or longer, depending on where you're located in the world. And we wanted to just share and celebrate the beauty of slowing down. So we do have a question that we're going to pop into the chat about how it is, or when do you feel most mindful? So I'll add that.
Yeah. And as everyone's doing that, at ANED, in our support groups, we sometimes do a full check-in, but we want to be really mindful of everyone's time since we are in a short group here. So as you're thinking about when you're most mindful, if you want to share your name, potentially where you are in the world, what you want to call us, what we would like you to call us today, and then answer that question. So, and to get started, I'm Kristen. I am here from ANED today. I am in Chicago. And one of the times when I feel most mindful is when I'm out in a forest preserve, or just anywhere in nature, really, next to water. Sometimes I'll have my dog with me. You might see him in the background. He's creeping around today. Sorry if he's slobbery. But just getting to move a little bit, like walking slowly through the trees and really paying attention to the leaves and the breeze and the sounds. That's when I feel really, really like mindful and grounded and centered. So that's my check-in for today.
Thank you, Kristen. And I'll add mine as well. Again, I'm Deneen Farrell. I'm coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio. And I feel most mindful. Also, I want to say when I'm outside, or truly like when I'm doing a chore, even like folding laundry, when I'm by myself folding the laundry, I find that that's some peaceful time for me. I'm not the most neat folder of laundry, but I do try to like just really just be in the moment and pay attention to what it is that I'm doing.
I love that. As a fellow not the neatest folder, it is still just really nice to like get a sense of the different textures, and especially when it's warm right out of the dryer. That's such a good moment. I'm a dryer sheet person. I know some people aren't, but it always just smells so good and it's so nice. Oh, I see Susie going there like, no, but it's okay. Everyone has different laundry practices, and that's totally fine. Yeah, and everyone, as you're putting your answers in the chat, thank you so much. We'll probably look at some of those throughout, but yeah, Deneen, as we get started, I wonder why slowing down this month particular? What brought this topic up for you?
Yeah. So again, I find myself, I'm a mom of 4 children that are all school aged. And the end of summer feels a lot like we're squeezing in all these little things that maybe we didn't do in early summer. And then we're getting ready for this transition into school and work. And I noticed that it's super easy for me to get so kind of hung up in being busy. And then I almost, for me, it's a practice because I kind of start to identify myself with my busyness as if my busyness meant that I'm super productive and valuable, even though I know that that's not true at all. And then I recognize that I'm missing the little things, like I'm missing folding the laundry and feeling the heat of the material. And then I'm missing like these little things in regards to my everyday. And those are the things that I really, really know that I want to savor. Those are the things that give meaning and texture to, each hour. So I wanted to share that. And it's so funny because even actually on my way down, where I film this is in the basement of my house. And on my way down the stairs, I was bringing my equipment and my cable from my laptop was too low and I stuck my foot through it, but I felt it because I was not moving fast. I was taking my time and I untangled my foot before I fell down the stairs. And I literally thought to myself, oh, that's a super good lesson, because if I was in a rush, if I was just trying to get from point A to point B, I would have tripped down the stairs. I absolutely would have tripped down the stairs. So I thought this is the perfect lesson in slowing down, because I had a minute to feel where I was, to recognize something wasn't right, to look, to notice, to untangle my leg. Now I'm with you today.
Well, I'm very glad you picked this topic then and had slowing down on your mind. But I think you're completely right. Like it can be so easy to identify with busyness and to make it kind of central to your sense of self-worth, right? We live in a culture that glorifies it. Everyone has to be busy all the time. I remember years ago now in college, we used to compare who had the tightest shoulders from studying too much. And that was just a normal thing that we did. And now it's like, oh, well, I have to do all of these things. My to-do list is crazy. And we're talking with friends even now, and we're just comparing all of the things we have to do. And there's some sense of competition almost. And I always challenge myself to notice that, because I know that I have this streak in me. This is something I've noticed in myself for a very long time. So it's been a continual work in progress for me to be like, okay, wait, no, it's not a good thing to be constantly scheduled. It doesn't make me more worthy as a human to have ticked off 800 things on my to-do list today. It's important to slow down. I want to be here, to be calm and present and mindful with my family and with my life. And if I'm constantly busy, you miss that. You trip down the steps. It's an
Right.
important thing to really pay attention to.
And anecdotally, and this is again not a scientific poll, but how often have you either been asked the question, how are you? And your response is busy. Or vice versa, how often have you asked the question, how are you? And the response is busy.
All the time. So much. It's the norm now. If someone is sharing about like, oh, I had such a nice time relaxing and I've got a nice easy week coming up, it's jarring. Like I hear that, I'm like, whoa, what are you doing to yourself? Like, and yeah, it's a hard thing to do, especially in this culture, in this world where everything is what's the next thing? What are you ticking off? Yeah. Oh, Susie, I see a hand. You go ahead and unmute.
Yeah. Can I ask a question or maybe just make a statement? I find for me, my busyness was a way of not only, like you guys were saying, like maybe feeling valuable or worthy as a person. Busyness is like a badge of honor, but also an avoidance tool for managing emotions. So as my life is quite slow right now, I feel my mind is chatter constantly, blah, 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 or I feel the need to podcast, TV, newspaper, books, music, feeding the chatter into my mind. So maybe I'm not physically busy or overscheduled. Definitely not at this point. But it's almost worse because now the chatter in my head is so loud to try to drown out those hard things, so I'm really in that place where I guess I came today because that's slowing down. I wrote it, my place of feeling mindful is in yoga, because then I am connected to my body. I'm not running around in my head or my physical body. So that's for me more than being busy scheduled, especially like during COVID. We weren't busy, but my mind was still freaked out. So
That's such an important point. Yeah, Susie, being stimulated is another way to keep our minds busy. It's not necessarily slowing down if we're constantly seeking more and more input.
That's kind of where I am right now, not in the overscheduled place, but in the overfeeding place of feeding the brain with stuff to drown out, maybe even needing to feed myself or needing to, process some feelings and confront some hard emotions, that kind of stuff.
That's a brave thing to notice and to bring up. And it's an important thing for a lot of us, I think, because that distraction avoidance, you're right, it's a great way to not pay attention to the difficult things that we maybe should be paying attention to.
I talk often, and what helps me, like, to myself, especially when I'm on my mat, which is wonderful, again, that we've all joined here together to have a little bit of a movement practice, because I find when I'm talking to my body, and when I'm not even, actually vice versa, when I'm listening to my body, I am in the moment, and I always consider it this opportunity to like listen to my body when it whispers, so that I can really try to identify what it needs before it has to scream at me, like before it has to become like the 5-alarm fire, right? So I totally hear you, and I feel that 100%, right? It's so easy to get stuck in the hamster wheel in the brain. Yeah.
You got oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead, Kristen.
Yeah. No, I just want to really emphasize for anyone out there that if there's a lot going on up here, it can be uncomfortable to slow down. Like this isn't necessarily an easy thing. I think sometimes people hear about slowing down and relaxing, and they think, oh, that should be good. Like I should be good at that, but it can be a difficult thing. So if you're someone struggling there, I just want to point out that you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. There's a lot going on and it can be uncomfortable. So the first step is to notice that. And just like yoga, it's a practice. It doesn't get better overnight. Janine, you were just talking about listening to your body. That's very, very often advice you get in treatment for eating disorders, disordered eating, body image concerns is listen to your body, think about what it needs. I used to hate that advice so much. I hated it. I was like, I have no idea what my body is saying. What are you even doing right now? Like, and it was something that I worked on a lot. At first, I was like, okay, I can maybe listen to the screaming. And then like as I practiced it, I started being able to hear lower volumes, and it's still something I work on. I have to be mindful on. Like for me at least, it's not just, oh, now my body is telling me exactly what to do and everything is wonderful. It still takes attention and work, but it gets easier.
Yep. I totally appreciate that. And I do want to emphasize that you are not alone if you have any sensibility about what Susie shared or Kristen or myself, because it's human nature. And I think especially when we live in a culture that's so young we become indoctrinated to like go, do, achieve, that we're I'm really trying to embrace my middle ages because I feel like I finally have some perspective to recognize like, oh, like again, that's not where value comes from. And the moments that I felt most mindful or the moments that I felt more connected have not been in the moments where I've been busy at all, actually. Like if I really take a hard look at when in those moments when I've felt valued and loved, it's been in the quiet moments and the eye contact and in the ability to just be with myself and in stillness and like just to really appreciate all of my scars and curves and just love it beginning. Like I feel like I'm in the stage in my life where I just try to fall in love with my body a little bit more every day. And that is a practice. Yes.
Yeah. The more I learn about recovery, yoga, everything, it's so many things are a practice. There are so few proper finish lines, right? Everything is you learn and you get better and you practice. And sometimes you don't get better, but you practice anyway. And then maybe eventually you do. Like there's no single right way to go about recovery. There's no single way to go about anything, really. There's always different approaches. And Janine, I think you're right that noticing and slowing down and appreciating where you are is a really important thing. I have a cat and he has this psychic tendency to come and like sit on me and get perfectly comfortable about 10 seconds before I'm about to get up. Like I'll be sitting there like, oh, you know what, maybe it's time to get off the couch for a minute and go do something. And he will pop up and like knead on me and start purring. And whenever I can, I try to just use that as a moment to be like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to be a cat pillow for just a little while longer. Like this is just going to be my sign to appreciate the warm, furry, cuddly, pointy guy that he is and just be for another couple minutes. And it's nice giving myself that permission to do that. It's nice. And it doesn't always work. Like sometimes I'm trying to head to an appointment or, the water's boiling or whatever it is. But when I can, being a cat pillow is a worthy thing.
I love that. I aspire to be a cat pillow. I love that. It is a worthy thing. And there's that sweet connection there.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if anyone else, like what comes up for you when you even hear the word slow down? You guys can put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself.
Mm-hmm. We're a small group, so feel free to just unmute and jump in. But if you prefer to do the hand raising, we can keep it out there too. While we're waiting for people to pipe in, I'll give you a little preview of my cat for whom I become a pillow on the regular. He likes to hang out.
So Shelby shared in the chat, which I appreciate, that when she hears slow down, it feels like a challenge or a dare.
I know. And again, it's a practice and it's not something I personally am excellent at. Like slowing down takes attention and effort. And if I don't choose to value slowing down, I have a very easy time just letting my mind run off with all of the things I should be doing or that are not yet done. And it's very easy to just stay up in that hamster wheel of like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? It's a choice and it's not always the comfortable choice.
No, right? I would actually go further and say it's generally the uncomfortable choice.
That's probably fair.
Yeah. For me, it is the uncomfortable choice.
It feels good to do things sometimes, like especially, I don't know, for me, if I'm dealing with some sort of uncomfortable emotion, I want to do something about it. And even if there's nothing I can actually do about the problem, I can do some cleaning and put my feelings there, or I can do whatever it means and like put some of my feelings there, but it's not actually doing anything about the problem. Like I know that it's just a way for me to kind of cope through the moment, but it, you're right, it's harder to choose to pay attention and slow down and maybe think about whatever is actually coming up.
Mhm. Yeah, Katie, thanks for your comment in the chat. She was talking about how her over-exercising addiction does not like the term slow down. Yes. And I think often in those situations, it can almost feel like a visceral response, like right here, you kind of feel it like right between the ribs, and you're like, what do you mean slow down? Like what I'm doing is, and we tell ourselves like, well, what I'm doing is good for me, and we don't take a minute to actually, again, take the time to listen for all of the things that even Susie was saying earlier. Like, I kind of don't want to be up here, but like, yet ironically, like the up here is what's keeping us going, because the body generally, when we take a moment to pause, will say, oh, like I'm sending you some signals that we do need to slow down, or like I'm coming to an edge and I'm about to get pushed off. And so we really, it can be a terrifying prospect almost to slow down. And that's, that's something that I feel like a lot of us come up against in recovery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Katie, I just want to say I know that feeling personally. And in support groups recently, we had a conversation about rest days and how difficult it is for people to take a real rest day. And we talked about something similar to this, not just a day off from whatever movement is going on, but a day off from work, a day to really rest, and what rest means. And one thing that we kind of touched on is that it's hard for some people to give themselves a proper space to rest if they don't value it. And it's really easy to think like, oh, rest is the absence of all of these other things, but it's also a place where really important things are happening in your body. Rest is when your muscles get to re-knit themselves, and your, sorry, I'm not a biology person, but I know that, your hormones relax, like all of the stress levels go down, and these have really tangible changes for you. Like rest is important and it is valuable, not just mentally, but physically. And I think realizing that, like really intentionally remembering that, can, for me, it helps a little bit when I'm like, oh man, I'm being a cat pillow, but I should be doing XYZ. It's a moment to be like, you know what? No, like there are important things happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think sometimes that slowing down comes with a lot of guilt for me. I'm getting better at it, but that it's still, especially when I first started trying to intentionally do that, it came with a lot of guilt. And now, like if I call someone and I say, how are you? And it's busy and they go into their long list of everything they're doing and being and going and all of this, I find that my whole inside just kind of clenches. So to use that very overused word, triggering, it's very triggering for me. So, or if I'm like with my mom, who also has an eating disorder, and she's just like flitting around the room and busy for doing nothing, I find myself just really getting tight because I'm trying to pull away from that, but yet I see it around me and it's just like, oh, because maybe I'm seeing myself or my old self that I'm trying to get away from, but still dealing with the guilt for maybe not being there. So there's this, that two sides of it, kind of. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, kind of thing.
Susie, again, thank you for
yeah.
sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say similar. I wanted to just underscore, though, what I noticed is that you are hearing these signals, though. Like, you can identify when you hear someone else saying these things, how you feel inside. And that is your body talking to you. I mean, what we feel inside isn't always a physical sensation. I mean, we feel a lot of our emotions internally. And again, those are things that we tend to tune out over time, or to get, we try to distract ourselves from, because that's an uncomfortable feeling. No one likes to feel tight.
Well, it's like a flashing warning sign, like caution, 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 step away.
Right.
Sometimes I even try to like find an excuse to get off the phone because it just stresses me out so much. I don't want to get sucked back in.
Yeah.
Sean, do you have something to add? I see your hand up.
Yeah, you mentioned, I think you mentioned connecting to either feelings or emotions, and then I hear of, like, I served in the military and fire service, and I hear of like maybe not a diagnosis, but like a trait, alexithymia, where for some reason we may have challenges connecting with our emotions, or also connecting to different signals. So and how do you kind of connect to that body's wisdom if for whatever reasons you're having challenges, if the body's sending signals, or if you're having challenges interpreting the signals or receiving the signals. So I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, it can be a hard thing trying to interpret what your body's telling you, especially if you don't know why things are coming up, or you don't know if you can trust what's going on. But I just want to bring it back and remind everyone that it's a practice, right? It takes practice. You start, it's easy to get the big things, but narrowing it down, slowing down and listening, you're not always going to get it right. But with practice and maybe guidance from whatever support you can get by way of therapists, yoga classes, medical professionals, those are all people who might be able to help interpret some of these signals and help you slow down and listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if there's a biological hiccup or reason that the signal might not be interpreted correctly, right? But that's when, again, like Kristen had said, then we rely on our support network to help guide us and help us reinterpret or identify how it is. And it is often, coming with practice. Like I talk about, how in some cultures, there's different words to describe, for example, snow. Whereas some people just call snow snow, yet some people are so intimate with that phenomenon, that weather phenomenon, that there's different kinds of snow to them. And for me, I see it even in children, right? Like, you start off with maybe like 3 or 4 big emotions, and that's what everything is. But then as you practice, as you mature, as you begin to identify your own response to a certain thing, then our emotions can kind of branch off. Like, oh, what had been just maybe anger is actually a little bit of discomfort, or maybe it's not anger or discomfort, maybe it's agitated, or maybe it's worry or fear. Like, you become, as we get more in touch with how we feel below the neck, we begin to widen our vocabulary. And I think when we widen the vocabulary of the sensations that we're feeling, we become wiser, and then we can make these choices in these slow moments. When we're listening, we can make choices that better serve ourselves and how we feel to be nourished. And then when we can do that, right, then we can support the people around us, right? But it's just, again, just really diving into that vocabulary, that conversation with the self, and it's a constant practice for sure. Yes.
Okay. Now we're coming up on the time when we're going to transition into our practice. Before we do, Susie, I saw that you had your hand up for a minute there. I just want to check in, see if anyone wants to do any final talking.
Maybe I was just like thinking about what I all I see is Eat, Breathe, Thrive. I don't know your name that's been talking. So what you were saying about the body, the signals, and it's like, for me, my eating disorder was all about canceling out all those signals, kind of like what I said before. So it's like allowing my body to come back alive feels really scary at first, but then it's also learning, okay, like, what does that signal even mean? You know, giving that the space to actually speak or be felt, and then figuring out what it means. Is it hungry? Is it full? Is it anxious? Is it afraid? Is it, you know, instead of just immediately canceling out any signals, it's almost like a beginning, a new beginning of learning what those things mean. I think we're born with those sensations, but as suffering with an eating disorder, I have personally learned to let those not exist. So it's allowing those things to come back, and then it's pretty freaky and confusing. Like, is this hunger or fullness or anxiety? What is this? Or is this fear or you know, it's all of those things. And sometimes at the beginning, they all feel the same. So
Susie, I love your framing of it though, as a new beginning and a relearning. Like that's such a beautiful and positive way to look at what, you're right, can be an uncomfortable and scary experience, but.
Yeah, and Susie, and you've hit on something that is an absolute fact. It's that we do feel, for example, hunger. I mean, we can feel it physically and we can feel it emotionally. And oftentimes, again, when we are coming from a place of disordered eating, we have kind of jumbled up all of those signals or have just turned off those signals totally. And it is a relearning process. And we do talk about in our more detailed programming, like in our 7-week series and in our 4-week yoga for eating disorder recovery, we do talk about those tools to help us identify what is a physical sensation of hunger versus what is an emotional sensation of hunger, and what could each of those indicate that we need. And so what you've hit upon is absolutely, again, the wisdom that you are gaining as you are on your healing journey. I'm so glad that you've shared, because that's a very real phenomenon that you've experienced and that you're sharing, and there are tools available to you, and they do, or we like to say they do become a little more available to us when we do participate in practices like yoga and meditation. And so today's practice is going to be a very accessible and slow practice. We find that in these moments, it can be hard for this. So I'll do my best to guide you with words. If you do start to wander, or if you start to challenge, oh, this is too slow for me, like, again, acknowledge that, be aware of it. If you need to change something, but just bring your awareness to it. Like, it may be uncomfortable for you to move slow if you're used to a more powerful, hot practice. And let that be the practice. You know, what does it feel like when you sit in slowness? What does it feel like when you sit in stillness? Is there anyone that will be practicing today with us on a chair? I'm just curious. We're going to start on our back, but you could always start seated as well, if that makes sense. I just wanted to have any sense of if someone will be practicing on a chair. So yeah, if you want to transition to your mat then, and again, you can have the video on or off. There's not a right or a wrong way. I will be just observing from here. And what I'd like you to do is just simply lie on your spine into what we call constructive rest. So constructive rest means you're on your back, your knees are bent, and your feet are on the floor. Walk the feet a little wider so that maybe they're as wide as your hips or even to the edge of your mat, and then let your knees tense to touch. And then you can place your palms on your belly. You can place one palm at the chest and one palm on the belly. Or if it feels better, you can extend your arms long at your sides and just let your arms, your back, the back of your head be heavy. Okay. And close your eyes if you can. And if you can't, soften the space around the eyes. And without changing anything, without changing the breath, just begin to notice how it is that you feel. So taking a body scan from the bottom of your feet to the crown of the head. And again, without needing to change anything, without judgment. How do you feel on a physical level? So maybe taking note of where there might be some tightness or ease. Maybe you did a lot of gardening this weekend. So maybe the upper back feels a little sore. Again, just noticing how you feel on a physical level without needing to change it or justify it. All right, now everyone just notice the breath, drawing an inhale through the nose and maybe sighing it out. And now take a moment and scan, how do you feel on an energetic level? Depending on where you are in the world, it could be afternoon or evening. It could be early morning. So how do you feel energetically? Again, without needing to change it or justify it. And together, everyone breathe in through the nose and let it go. And now take in information on how you feel emotionally. And again, with that eye of a scientist, without again judging or explaining or qualifying, just how do you feel emotionally? Nice. Before we start movement, we're going to transition through a full 3-part breath practice, right? So we're just going to imagine the fullness of the lungs, right? And so on the next inhale, pull the breath to the bottom of the lungs, pull it to the middle of the lungs, pull it to the top of the lungs. And now exhale from the top, middle, and bottom. And again, pull the breath to that bottom hand, to the middle of the lungs, to the top. Exhale from the top, to the middle, to the bottom. And again, inhale to the bottom, to the middle, to the top. Exhale, top, middle, bottom. Return to your natural breath and gently bring your knees toward your chest. You can bring your hands around your knees, maybe behind your thighs, and just rock a little from side to side on that low back. So the base of the spine is a little triangle bone called the sacrum. Right? And when we massage the sacrum, that low back, it sends a very real message to our nervous system that all is well. So it's why when you maybe feel a little tense or anxious, people just naturally bring their palm to their low back, or it feels nice when someone rubs the low back. So again, just a little tip. Anytime you're feeling a little high energy, if you need to calm down, slow down, the low back's a nice little spot to release. And then be still. Draw your arms out and extend them like a T. And then gently drop both of your knees to the right, coming into a spinal twist. And then as you inhale, just take a full, nice, long breath to the left rib cage. And then as you exhale, feel that left arm get heavy, the shoulder dropping towards the earth. Again, inhale and exhale. Another deep, full breath in. A long breath out. Moving with the breath, inhale, bring your knees back towards your chest. And then exhale, drop your knees to the opposite side, coming into a spinal twist. And a nice, long, steady inhale. Imagine that inhale traveling to that sacrum, the low back. And then an exhale, softening that right arm heavy on the mat. Breathing in, breathing out. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, come back through the center. Optional exhale, forehead to knees, pressing the lungs, empty. And then maybe just a few rocks from the back to the front of your mat, or maybe again, side to side. In your own best way, we're going to bring ourselves to a tabletop pose. So again, you might like to rock forward and back and then roll yourself up. Or you might want to roll side to side. So again, there's not one right path to the same destination. Tabletop pose, you're on all fours. Palms under shoulders, knees under hips, and you can always bring a cushion below your knees if your knees are at all sensitive. But take a moment, and again, just bring your palm to your core, to your belly, just one hand to your belly, and again, just feel your center, right? Just feel your center, and just this acknowledgement, hand to core, activates the core. Again, we don't need 100 push-ups. or a 40-second plank, like just this connection, palm to hand, sends a signal to the core to activate. Nice. Lower your hands to the ground, coming back into the breath. On the inhale, lower your belly and lift your chest for a cow pose. And then the exhale, begin to tuck the chin and round the back towards the ceiling for cat. So again, just gently lowering the belly, lifting the chest on the inhale, and the exhale that tucks the chin and rounds the back. And allow yourself, as you're moving with the breath, move with the fullest expression of the inhale and the fullest expression of the exhale. Again, this might be challenging, but let's focus on that beauty of a full inhale and that release of the full exhale, right? Knowing that as we fill the lungs fully, we're getting some lovely oxygen to the body that allows the muscles to recover. We're getting oxygen to the bloodstream that helps us think more clearly. Okay, the physiological benefits of moving slowly. Beautiful. The next time the back is arched towards the ceiling, so with the chin tucked, just gently roll the head a little side to side. Now we're going to do a little shoulder work here. So be still. Bring your left hand right below your nose so that your palm and your knees make a stable base. On the inhale, take the right arm towards the sky. We're going to thread the needle. So maybe peek at the right hand and then tuck the right arm under and below you through, resting on your right shoulder, right ear towards the ground. If the head feels far away from the mat, you can bring a pillow or a block below your head. Okay. Kristen shared earlier about comparing notes on whose shoulders were stiff. Like our shoulders is where we carry a lot of responsibility. So again, it's important to move slowly to release some tension in that space. Right? So with the inhale, just feel the breath weave between the shoulder blades. Check in with the jaw, maybe slide the chin left and right. And you might even notice the ears pop, just releasing again this unnecessary tension. Beautiful. Inhale, unwind, take the right arm back towards the sky. And we'll switch sides. Exhale to bring the right hand where the left hand was, right below the nose. Inhale, the left arm lifts up, peeling that left shoulder back. And thread the needle. This side could feel different. That would be fair. A different shoulder, a different side. Again, let the head rest easy on the floor, a block, or a pillow. And again, slide the breath between all the sticky places, right between the shoulders. Inhale. And exhale. Breathing in. Breathing out. Take the left arm back towards the sky and waving the hand. Come back to a tabletop, left palm to the ground. This time, extend the right leg back, coming into a one-legged tabletop. Yeah. Okay. And again, just feeling your body engage, feeling the breath press through that lifted heel. On an exhale, draw the right knee towards your nose, round your back like we did in cat. Right? And this will be tricky, but just trust the process. Bring the right foot between your hands and you'll land in a low lunge. It might take you a time or two. On the inhale, reach your arms overhead. Leave your left knee on the ground. Beautiful. Breathe in. Exhale, cactus your elbows. Okay. So that again, we take that unnecessary weight from the shoulders. Feel the chest lift up as the shoulders draw back. Breathe in. Stay, breathe out. Another full breath in. Complete breath out. This time, inhale, arms overhead. Catch that left wrist, lift up and take a baby bend to the right. So that you feel a little bit of a release across that left hip flexor. Again, a place that tends to get tight, especially when we sit. Inhale, lift the arms back up overhead. Bring your hands back to the ground, frame that right foot. Pick your left knee up. Step your left foot forward. Standing forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, reach the arms nice and tall overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Breathe in and breathe out. Again, inhale, arms overhead, lift nice and tall. Exhale, fold forward, empty the lungs. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands. This time, step your right foot back, coming into a low lunge with the right leg back. Lower the right knee to the floor. Lift the arms overhead. And cactus the elbows. And again, just taking the weight off the shoulders. Noticing that we're in a similar place, right? We're in a low lunge, but we got here a different way, right? There's not one path, there's several. And when we slow down, we can make choices that work best for us in the moment. So breathing in, feeling the heart pull forward, shoulders back. Breathe out. Inhale, arms overhead. This time, catch the right wrist, lengthen through the right side. Take that baby bend to the left, just releasing that right hip. Breathe in and breathe out. Inhale, bring the hands back overhead. Exhale, bring the hands to the mat, frame that left foot. And now again, a tricky moment, come into tabletop with that left leg back. So scooting that left foot behind you, keeping the hands on the floor. Nice. Stretching that left leg up, feeling your center, trusting the process, appreciating any bobble and weave, letting it be awkward and knowing that's okay. Not only is it okay, it's normal. Breathe in. Breathe out. Lower the left knee. Bring yourself to child's pose, letting the head rest easy on the floor or stacked arms. And I'll ask again, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel physically? How do you feel energetically? How do you feel emotionally? And if this is a space that feels good for you, please, by all means, stay here for as long as you choose. You could even bring yourself all the way to your stomach and lie prone. If there's any feedback that you'd like to share with us right now, then maybe press your hands back and come to a seated pose. And again, know that you can stay exactly as you are if you are in a place of stillness. We want you to experience that stillness. We want you to appreciate that stillness, savor that stillness for as long as possible. If there is any feedback that anyone would like to share on this practice, though, we would love to hear from you before the call ends. So this is a time for that as well.
Janine, I just want to share that I remembered from last time your tip that kind of lying on your back and doing that kind of sacrum massage is a signal to your body to relax. And I was able to use that myself. I was having just a crazy day and I could feel myself getting really, really tight. So I took a minute. I was like, okay, I'm just going to go lay down for a moment. And I did. And I tucked my knees and did a little bit of rolling on my back. And it wasn't a magic fix, but it helped. I was able to just like breathe a little bit and kind of come back to my day with a new mindset. And that was really, really important for me in that day. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love these little like tips and tricks. Anytime I take a new training and I learn these things, I get so excited. You know, these little things that again that we had no idea we could do for ourselves. These little. Thank you for sharing, Kristen. Yeah, we did have a question come through that will this be posted online? Yep. We do take these recordings and we do a little editing and then we place them on our YouTube channel and we'll be able to send you a link. You'll get a follow-up email from us within the next day or so, and that will have some links to resources from Anad, links to resources from Eat, Breathe, Thrive, and also how you can access this recording of the chat.
Yeah. And as we wrap up, I just want to remind everyone that community is really, really important. And if you are looking for a space to connect and it has completely free support groups, they're virtual, there's a lot of them throughout the week. If you check out anad.org, you'll be able to check those out. You can come to a support group. We also have a helpline. If you ever just want to talk to someone for a couple minutes or you're looking for referrals, that's what our helpline is for. And we're always around. And I know Eat, Breathe, Thrive has a lot of fantastic resources as well. So there's help out there. You're not alone. We're here for you. Our communities are here for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your Monday with us. It's truly an honor to be in this space with you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kristen, for modeling the practice for us and for this being a phenomenal resource and human.
And you as well. I feel honestly much better after being here and like taking a minute. So Janine, thank you for that beautiful practice and all of the wonderful tips. And all of you, thank you for sharing your experience, your time, your Monday. It's always wonderful to be here with you guys.
Yeah, great. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thanks, Shelby, for posting that link.
Yeah, thanks, Shelby. All right.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.